Hi everyone. My name is Elizabeth, and I am delighted to welcome you to Growing the Women's Liberation Movement. This is WDI USA's 4th annual national convention, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to my home state of Indiana. I'm just going to quote a bit from a letter that you will have received in the package when you checked in. So this letter is from Ruth Perkins. Ruth, where are you? Do you want to stand up? So together Ruth and I planned this convention, and Ruth is also our Indiana state contact. So I just want to quote something that she says. She says, "This convention may prove to be a particularly well-timed opportunity to grow the women's liberation movement. She is hopeful that Americans have reached a turning point and that now is the time to advance our message that sex is real and quote-unquote gender identity is not, to cultivate conversations with women who have never heard the radical feminist perspective, and to develop strategies to expand our reach beyond our own local communities. This is our first convention to have panels on the protection of incarcerated women and on saving women's sports. While more progress has arguably been made on the latter, we must continue to embrace the challenge of championing women's sex-based rights in every area and persist in the face of setbacks." End quote. So I'm now going to turn it over to the board, and we'll meet the WDI USA board, and then I'll have a few housekeeping items, and then we'll have our first and only actually talk of the night.
Hi everyone. That seems to be working.
You get to hear more from me. So I'm Elizabeth Chesak. I discovered radical feminism in 2019 and deprogramming for 7 years to end the gender identity goal. I'm especially interested in connecting older and younger feminists so that the generations may benefit from each other's knowledge, skills, and ideas. I first joined WDI USA as Chief of Staff in 2023. I have served as President since 2024, and I currently facilitate the organization's Assisted and Detransitioned Women's Caucus. So as I mentioned, together with Ruth, helped plan this thing. I am a native of the state, and I'm so excited to have you all here. And if your name is also Elizabeth, we should do some kind of group picture at some point, because there are a lot of us here.
Hi everyone, my name is Katherine. I recognize a lot of you, but definitely not all of you. So I am obviously on the board. I also do, frankly, too many other things for WDI USA, including being Virginia State Contact, and also on the Lesbian Caucus, and the Anti-Pornography Working Group, and some other things. So I peaked in 2018, the summer after my high school year, the summer after my senior year of high school. And I became involved for the first time in person about 2 years later in 2020, when the US chapter first opened to volunteers, before it was just a very small group. And I joined the board about 2 years after that, in 2022. So I wanted to just briefly talk about the connection between growing the women's liberation movement, which you already know is the theme of this convention, and also the personal growth that often goes along with it. So when I joined, I did not really think I was qualified. I just wanted to meet women. I had no particular skills, no degree, I never had a skilled job. I was doing meetings out of my dorm room hallway so that my roommate wouldn't know, and I had to whisper whenever anyone walked by, and it did not work very well. And yet here I am after 5 years, even though I had planned to turn the Virginia State Contact position over as soon as we could find someone who actually liked talking to people. But yeah, I'm still here. I'm learning, I'm improving, and in these past 5 years I've seen the women's liberation movement in the US and this organization also grow a lot. So a few key things: we started doing conventions for the first time. Now it's our 4th one running. I'd say they're going pretty well. We have started doing a lot more with legal work and amicus briefs, and we just got our 10th one filed 2 days ago, I think. Yeah. Before the Supreme Court, yes, also key. We've done national polling, we've gotten more and more media coverage locally and nationally. We've been training women in all sorts of things. And personally, I have had to learn about all sorts of things like web editing and graphic design and how to read a hotel contract and understand it. I'm still working on that one. Fundraising and public speaking, which feels very pertinent because I'm reminded of the first convention I was at when I was strong-armed a little bit into doing this. And I'll be very honest, it was terrible. I threw up before coming up here. I sweated through my clothes, and then I blacked out, and then I did not remember anything I said. But now I'm up here, and I feel pretty good. Cold, but pretty good otherwise. And if I can do it, then so can you. And yeah, I'm just really happy to be here with you all, growing the women's liberation movement together, as well as growing personally, as well as collectively. Thanks.
My name is Irene Lawrence. I joined the board in September of 2023, just prior to the San Francisco convention. I know some of you remember that. That was exciting. We're hoping for a much calmer weekend this time. I serve as the board secretary. I plan public actions across the country, and I also do a lot of volunteer coordination. I'm excited to facilitate 2 panels this weekend, one on protecting incarcerated women and one on executing in-person actions. My day job is in corrections, and I peaked/discovered radical feminism in late 2022 when I realized that men were literally in women's prisons, and that the ACLU, which I once dreamed of a career with, would rather keep that secret than stand by their former values of free speech and women's rights. What I enjoy most of all in my role as a board member is encouraging and supporting WDI USA volunteers in planning their own local actions, and that's not just because I would love to be doing less traveling, but because I think we're only going to win these long-term cultural battles by more women being able to take public stances and having conversations in their own communities and being really visible and brave. And I love helping to encourage women to find that strength and seeing them own that and grow in that way. More passionately, or more broadly, I'm passionate about helping women gain grounding in radical feminist principles such that they see themselves as not just being someone who's deriving from a past movement, but really owning and developing new ideas in a generations-long movement.
So I'm Lauren Levey. Lauren Levey. Hi, thank you, Karen. Welcome to those of you I've never met before, as well as those I've seen here in years past. Things have changed since last year's convention. This year it's clear that TERFs are winning. You can tell that we're winning because the percentage of Americans who don't believe in gender magic has grown to 80%, and the previously silent legacy media outlets are now talking about it. Our opposition is in full retreat, trying to appear reasonable, trying to separate themselves from the men who just simply want to torture and kill TERFs, trying to differentiate between real trans and fake trans, between fake liars and real liars. I participated in the very first Gay Pride March in New York City in 1970. It was meant to commemorate the anniversary of the Stonewall Rebellion the year before and to advance a campaign for lesbian and gay rights. We didn't know what to expect that year. We thought there was a good chance that our march would be met with violence. After all, it was fresh in our memories that when lesbians and gay men were clearly lesbian and gay in public, we'd get assaulted sometimes by the police. So we were a little tense. We assembled in the narrow streets close to the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village where we felt safe. It was our neighborhood. But then we marched uptown. I'm not aware of any physical assault anywhere along the march route that year. Mostly we were enthusiastically cheered all the way to Central Park. Some onlookers actually joined our march. I did witness some verbal heckling. One woman said to the women I was marching with, "You're never going to be a man, honey. You're not fooling anybody." Immediately, one of our lesbians answered her. Why would I want to be a man? Does anybody here want to be a man? We all laughed with delight in our solidarity, high on our own ability to retort finally to a disrespectful stranger on the street in the middle of the day in Midtown Manhattan. Our would-be tormentor stopped talking and stepped back into the crowd. It felt as though lesbians had just stepped out of the shadows collectively and irrevocably. I understood at that moment that not only was our cause just, but that we had irresistible momentum and that our moment was now. You're wise to be here at this year's WDI USA convention. Turfs haven't completely won yet, but we have successfully turned the cultural tide, and this is our moment. So, what's next? I'd suggest that we need a plan not only to grow, but to normalize and institutionalize the women's liberation movement. This right here is the time and place to make those plans, and you all have recognized it. This right here is the time and place to step up, have courage, meet your sister warriors, think and plan and act collectively, and seize the moment. Understand that at this moment, not only is our cause just, but our messaging is inspiring and our momentum is irresistible. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here to seize this moment.
Hi, you might not recognize me. I'm Casey. I'm the newest member of the board. I just joined a couple of months ago, just in time for the very end of the chaos of organizing all of this. So I had no idea what's going on, and I'm learning with all of you. In terms of me, I've been a feminist for a long time, but I wasn't involved for a good number of years because I felt very rudderless in liberal feminism and the way that it perpetually turned away from women in favor of advancing everybody else. I came to the WDI conference last year, and it was the highlight of my year. I knew it would be before I even left, even a few months ago. I had an amazing time, and I met so many amazing women. And after that, I joined the Lesbian Caucus, and I found what I had been looking for the last 10 years in mainstream feminism but hadn't been finding. I'd been finding discussion was not allowed, inquiry was discouraged, analysis was non-existent, and in the Lesbian Caucus we had a lot of analysis and discussion and wrote some articles that I'm really proud of, and it connected me to more lesbians and gave me an outlet for my thoughts as somebody who's always been interested in analysis and politics that I didn't have outside of WDI and at that time just the Lesbian Caucus in particular. So I decided to join the board and go all the way into the chaos. And I haven't had a lot of time to do anything yet, but this is my first year, and I'm hoping to contribute a lot more in the future. So, yeah.